why I'm wearing this sun hat. So thank you for taking your time to be with us here before getting out on the trails yourself later today. So my name is Emily Sinkhorn with the City of Arcata.
And I'm Una Smith with the Humboldt County Association of Governments.
So we will be co-hosting today's virtual summit. And this year's summit has been organized by the Humboldt Bay Trail Working Group and the Humboldt Trails Council.
So we will begin momentarily. You're joining other trail enthusiasts through Zoom and Access Humboldt's Channel 8 and Facebook Live through the Humboldt Trails Council's webpage. We're recording this summit and it will be posted on Access Humboldt's YouTube channel, as well as Humboldt Trails Council's website, which is humtrails.org. And if you want more of this virtual trail fun, the recordings from last year are on those same sites.
Thanks, Una. So while we're waiting for other people to join us, we'll get started in a moment, but please consider taking a quick poll if you're tuning in via the Zoom webinar. So what local trail has been important to your physical and mental health during the pandemic? So hopefully you see a pop-up box on your screen so you can participate. And trails and public spaces have continued to be important kind of throughout this time. And Rails to Trails Conservancy nationally has noted that trail use continues to be about 60% higher than before the pandemic. And I'm sure we all will note that we've seen kind of this play out locally here as well.
So with the poll, Emily, how about for you? What has been what you've enjoyed during this time?
Well, I've enjoyed a lot of local trails. If I had to pick one, I would say what is right behind me with the Humboldt Bay Trail has been not only just fantastic to be out close to the bay, but it has been super helpful for commuting. But how about you? What's been your favorite local trail?
Well, I, for the very first time, got onto the Ridge Trail through the West End Road entrance. I'd always seen people going there with their dogs and parking there as a trailhead, and finally got there myself and just really loved it. Nice to have discover a new trail. Kind of embarrassing that I haven't got it earlier, but after being here for 20 years, it's amazing to find new places. So on to technical logistics overview. So, but before that, we have results of the poll. Emily?
Yeah, great. Well, thank you all for taking the time. I know it's really hard to pick one, but of all these choices, we see a lot of people sharing that the community forest trails and Arcata's Humboldt Bay Trail North have been wonderful trails during this time to get out and about. We also, Headwaters and the Elk River Trail is wonderful there in the forest. Our Hammond Coastal Trail and Eureka Waterfront Trail, wonderful for being close to living in Eureka and McKinleyville. The McKay Community Forest, and many trails and beaches on the Samoa Peninsula. So thanks for taking the time to fill out that quick poll, and we will get started on some technical overview and then get started with our main topics.
All right. Thanks, Emily. So all of the audience is in listen-only mode. And for our main event today, we're going to have live speakers as well as recorded videos. And if you are tuning in through Zoom or Facebook, you can submit questions through the Q&A features on your screen. You might get your question answered right away through the screen in typing from one of our behind the scenes summit wizards. And also, if you submitted questions earlier before the event, we will try to get as many of those answered live as possible, or also you might have someone to check with. We'll tell you all about that at the end when we have time for Q&A. And sorry, let me see if I have something else to cover. Now we'll go for the agenda.
Great, thank you, Una. So we're just starting out, getting started with this introduction. We will first hear from Hank Seemann with Humboldt County Public Works with live updates on many local trail projects throughout the county. And then we will have some recorded trail updates via video, and they're super engaging. We'll be hearing about the Annie and Mary Trail in Arcata and Blue Lake, the Little River Trail. We'll have mountain bike trail updates with Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association. We'll hear about new equestrian trails with the Humboldt Equestrian Club and the Redwood Unit of the Backcountry Riders. We will learn about the volunteer trail stewards and exciting, a new online bicycle and trails map for Humboldt County that will be launching soon. We will hear from Redwood National Park on their new Centennial Trail and new trails in Eureka. And then we'll have a live, great time with Senator Mike McGuire giving us exciting, enthusiastic updates on the Great Redwood Trail. And we will have more time this year for a question and answer before we close at 11.
All right. Thank you, Emily. A lot of good stuff coming up. So just one thing before we rock into the first live presenter, we wanted to have a land acknowledgement, as the trails that we will be highlighting today, are located in the greater Humboldt area, northern Humboldt County, and lower Eel River Valley. And so we start by acknowledging that the land on which these trails are located or are being planned is unceded territory of Indigenous people. Within Humboldt's county lines are traditional ancestral territory and current homelands of several Indigenous nations, including the Hupa, Karuk, Matol, Talawa, Wailaki, and Yurok. Today, we gather virtually with respect to the tribes who have been here for millennia.
Thank you, Una. So this is the 5th Humboldt Trail Summit, again, through a virtual format this year. But we're holding this day, again, on National Trail Day, this first Saturday of June. And this event has been organized by the Humboldt Trails Council and the Humboldt Bay Trail Working Group.
The purpose of today's summit is, again, to engage and enjoy in what makes Humboldt trails, to enjoy the excitement of the progress that we've made on trails, and to get updates, and to find out how to engage in maintaining our great trail system.
Right, so a couple other purposes for us all to keep in mind with this summit is really to acknowledge how trails and public spaces continue to be really important outlets for physical activity and mental health, really even as we near a transition to reopening across the state. And also to recognize that trails are a place that can bring many people together, and it's up to everyone to ensure that these public outdoor spaces feel welcoming and safe for all trail users, especially for people of color and those traditionally left out of the outdoor industry.
All right, so we go to our first live presenter, who is Hank Seemann, who is the Deputy Director for County of Humboldt Public Works. He's going to give an overview of trails, trail development in the region, particularly the stuff in the County of Humboldt's jurisdiction. So now take it away, Hank.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Hank Seemann, Public Works Deputy Director for Humboldt County. Emily and Una, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Emily mentioned this Trail Summit falls on National Trails Day. This is a day to think about the value of trails and how we can work together to expand our trail system and improve access to trails for all people to enjoy. There's a wide spectrum of trail types. Trails include paved multi-use paths used for transportation and recreation, and unpaved trails through forests and other natural areas. Fundamentally, trails enhance our community well-being. Trails provide a safe place to move and be active, and trails meet our need to explore and make discoveries. Trails are a destination for parents and children, couples, friends, people exercising, and people caring for their dogs and horses. Trails enable experiences that we deeply value and are a tremendous community asset. I'd like to spend the next few minutes sharing updates on projects to create or expand trails in which Humboldt County is actively involved. First, the Humboldt Bay Trail. The Humboldt Bay Trail is a network of trails around Humboldt Bay, built project by project, a few miles at a time, for transportation, recreation, and coastal access. It's been a long-standing priority to connect the cities of Arcata and Eureka with a trail separated from Highway 101. The cities of Eureka and Arcata completed their trail projects, and the County of Humboldt is leading a project called Humboldt Bay Trail South, which would extend for a little over 4 miles. Some people call it the Final Four, and this project would connect Humboldt Bay Trail North and the Eureka Waterfront Trail to create a network of 14 miles of non-motorized facilities and trails. So this is a big project. Most of the project will be similar to Arcata's Bay Trail North, where the trail is parallel to the railroad, but we're also proposing 1 mile of trail on the levee around the old Brainerd Mill site. And that levee trail will open up views and experiences of the bay that very few people have seen. This is a major project. There will be 3 new bridges and major modifications to the Eureka Slough Railroad Bridge. There will be significant repairs to the railroad grade and the shoreline armoring. We'll be removing a portion of the eucalyptus trees that present a safety hazard to trail users. We'll be adding a cable barrier to enhance safety between the trail and Highway 101. And the design has been carefully considered and analyzed for flood hazards and sea level rise. The county is currently in the last stages of the right-of-way and permitting phase. We're negotiating to acquire some property from the owner of the Brankett Industrial Park, and we're working with Green Diamond to acquire an easement on the levee around the old mill site.
And I'm sorry, Hank, to interrupt. Would you be able, just for participants to more see your slide, to hit that present button?
Great, thank you. Thank you, Emily. And I was just going to say that the negotiations for right-of-way have progressed very far, and I'm very confident that we'll be able to complete the right-of-way within the next few months. We're also working through the permitting phase. That's going well, and the next big step for the permitting will be the permit from the Coastal Commission, the Coastal Development Permit, and we're aiming to go to their monthly hearing this fall, perhaps as early as September. So my goal is that we can start construction on the Humboldt Bay Trail South within a year from now, and very hopeful that we can deliver this project hopefully by the end of 2022. But if not, it will continue into 2023. So moving southward from Eureka, I want to note that City of Eureka is planning a big project at the mouth of Elk River. That project includes extensive tidal restoration, but also a 1 mile extension of the Hickshari Trail. And so that project should start later this year and will continue into next year. And so there's a need right now for a planning study to define the next phase of the Humboldt Bay Trail south from Eureka. So Humboldt County and Redwood Community Action Agency applied for a grant for funding to prepare that planning study. And the purpose is to try to connect Eureka, the communities of King Salmon, Fields Landing, Humboldt Hill, and College of the Redwoods with facilities for non-motorized transportation. If that grant is awarded, we would analyze the existing conditions for opportunities and constraints, and we would engage the community to learn what people's interests and needs and concerns are. And that planning study would set up that project for future funding for construction. So really the vision right now is to extend the Humboldt Bay Trail south at least 3 miles along the railroad corridor, and then combine that with complete street improvements along Tompkins Hill Road. So the overall vision here is to allow students and faculty from Eureka to commute to College of the Redwoods without needing a vehicle, and also to connect the communities of King Salmon and Fields Landing and Humboldt Hill with these facilities. Currently, they're all isolated and dependent on vehicles for access. Moving to the southeast of Eureka, the McKay Community Forest is currently 1,200 acres. It was expanded last June, and in December, the county released a trail plan. The trail plan envisioned nearly 30 miles of trails within the community forest for hiking, mountain biking, and equestrian use. In parallel with the trail plan, we're also developing a forest stewardship plan and a non-industrial timber management plan. Those plans will guide sustainable timber harvest and habitat conservation and restoration. The timber management plan is subject to state and laws and regulations, and there's a big focus on controlling sediment, especially sediment from historic logging roads. So under our trail plan, we envision new trails, but also trails that are integrated with the historic logging roads. And so right now we're in the final stages of reconciling the trail plan, the forest stewardship plan, in terms of looking at those historic logging roads. And then hopefully within the next month, we can re-release the environmental study for the trail plan for public review, and then have that adopted by the Board of Supervisors. There's a lot of focus on these legacy historic roads to make sure that they address sediment discharges and remove obstructions from stream crossings. And so we're very close to being able to begin trail building, and our goal is to start that later this summer. So another one of the county's priorities is to address the Hammond Bridge. The Hammond Bridge connects McKinleyville and Arcata at the south end of the Hammond Trail. This bridge was constructed in 1941 as a railroad bridge, and then it was converted in 1983 for trail use. And as you can see, this bridge was made with steel trusses, and that steel has deteriorated in the marine environment, and it was determined several years ago that it would not be cost effective to try to restore and paint this bridge. And so we've identified the need to replace the Hammond Bridge with a concrete structure. Pursuing funding for this bridge replacement project is challenging, but the good news is just recently Congressman Huffman identified the Hammond Bridge replacement as one of his 10 priority community project funding within his district. And he's advanced that within the Appropriations Committee in Congress, and we're hopeful, although it's not guaranteed, that project can be elevated for federal funding. So we'll all be watching that closely. The county is also in partnership with Caltrans to develop a half-mile trail within the Caltrans right-of-way on the west side of Highway 255 in Manila. And that project is going through a more expanded environmental study that will be circulated this summer, and we're aiming for construction of the Highway 255 Manila Trail in 2022. I want to just provide a quick overview of the Annie and Mary Trail. You'll hear more details about specific projects soon. Really, since the late 90s, there's been this vision of connecting Arcata and Blue Lake along the historic railroad corridor along the Mad River. And the city of Blue Lake was first out of the gate, and they completed an in-town trail project last year that is wonderful amenity for Blue Lake and really expands their vision of being a destination for recreation along the river. And then late last year, the city of Arcata was successful in funding to advance a project from the center of town along West End Road to the Valley West and Alder Grove neighborhoods, and then along West End Road to the pump station. So that project will be kicking off shortly. This is a complicated project. There's a need to work closely with adjacent property owners, and the county will be working collaboratively with the city. And then finally, it's been a goal to expand the Annie Mary Trail from Blue Lake towards Glendale. The preferred alignment is not to follow the old railroad corridor, but to work within the Caltrans right-of-way on Highway 299 to be at the wide edge of the right-of-way along the fence line. And we have a preliminary design for a project, and this would connect Blue Lake and the Blue Lake Rancheria with Glendale. We're pursuing funding. We have not been successful so far, but this continues to be a priority to advance the vision of the Annie Mary Trail. So finally, I just want to note an important recent action, and you'll hear more from Senator McGuire. There's been an important advance and development with the North Coast Railroad Authority. So the railroad on the North Coast has had struggles really since the late 1960s to maintain viability. And after some bankruptcies, the North Coast Railroad Authority was formed, and in 1992 acquired ownership of the rail line. They made a lot of effort to try to attract funding, but they were not able to secure the funding to rehabilitate the rail line and restore service. And so in 2018, Senator McGuire stepped in and set a new course for the railroad. He led legislation that fundamentally changed the mandate of the North Coast Railroad Authority to advance the Great Redwood Trail. So that started a very long process, and we're in the very initial steps. But there's an important step that has just recently been initiated. The Railroad Authority submitted an application to do what's called railbanking. And what railbanking does is it preserves the right-of-way. It allows interim use for trails subject to future reactivation for rail service. And railbanking is an important step to advance the mandate of the Great Redwood Trail. So that application is pending. The Surface Transportation Board will be making their decision within the next month or two. And just a few weeks ago, the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors issued a support letter. Some of their key points include just noting that the rail corridor is a valuable public asset that should be used for our current transportation needs. It's very important that we do effective planning that considers context and community values. And it's important to, I think what we'll see is that the priority will be to continue to work with local agencies to connect the communities along the coast, and then do more long-term planning in the interior region to work with adjacent property owners and identify feasible ways to advance trails in the Eel River Canyon. That's going to take a lot of effort. Adjacent landowners have valid concerns about trespass and fire risk. And so, as Senator McGuire has said many times with the Great Redwood Trail, it's important to do it right, not fast. And so our board echoed some of those concerns and priorities. And it's also, our board also noted that the railroad corridor has deteriorated through lack of maintenance and just the challenging environment that it sits in. And that infrastructure is crumbling, and in some cases is creating flood risks and other hazards. And this is really an opportunity to attract investment, to upgrade that infrastructure, and to create facilities that can be used currently. And so Humboldt County is ready to collaborate on that effort. So finally, I just wanted to note the importance of community volunteers for trails. Really, the key to success for trails is volunteer involvement in combination with regional partnerships. State and local agencies are working closely with a number of community groups, including the Volunteer Trail Stewards, Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association, Friends of the Annie and Mary Trail, the River Life Foundation in Fortuna, Redwood Community Action Agency, the Peninsula Community Collaborative, and the Humboldt Bay Trail Fund Working Group. And I want to highlight an incredible achievement of the Humboldt Bay Trail Fund. The fund is close to the milestone of raising $500,000 to support trail maintenance and trail development around Humboldt Bay. So trails don't solve all our problems, but they create opportunities for experiences that we deeply value. They make our lives and communities significantly better. Especially in the time of the COVID pandemic, many of us have gone to trails for physical and mental and emotional restoration. So the volunteers who've been involved with creating and maintaining trails make our communities better now and for future generations. And what I've seen is that trails can really help bring out the best in us. So Humboldt County will be working hard over the next year to deliver a number of trail projects and to start planning future phases. Back to you, Emily and Una.
Thank you, Hank, very much for that very thorough overview, and exciting to touch on all of the projects that the county has been leading with community members. And thank you, Hank, for your leadership and your team's leadership in moving many of these forward with the community. And it's a great also introduction to lead into what Senator McGuire will be talking about towards the end of our webinar. And thank you also for a lot of the great maps detailing these particular projects. And our next video and next topic we will be learning about is the Annie and Mary Trail. But first, kind of want to take a note on these hats Una and I have been wearing. And this is an homage to this summit may be virtual, but our hats are real. We are heading towards reopening and hoping for next year for all of us to be in person for next year's summit. But also it takes a lot of hats and a lot of people to see trail projects through. So we will next be learning more about the Annie and Mary Trail, and Hank touched on some of the key segments that are being worked on by multiple jurisdictions. And at last year's summit, we had a video from the groundbreaking of Phase 1 Annie and Mary Trail in Blue Lake. And this year, we have a video of all those improvements on the ground. But first, we will start in Arcata to learn about the Arcata Annie and Mary Trail. And you may see a familiar face. So here's our next topic.
Well, hello, Trail Summit participants. I'm Emily Sinkhorn with the Environmental Services Department of the City of Arcata, and we are here at what will be the start of the Arcata Annie and Mary Trail. We are currently at the Arcata Skate Park, gets a lot of great use. Larson Park is just up the railroad corridor, and this is also where the Humboldt Bay Trail North terminates. In 2019, the City of Arcata received a planning grant and conducted a lot of robust community outreach to understand community members' needs for a safe walking and biking route from Valley West and North Arcata neighborhoods to downtown. And what we really heard was that people were anxious and excited for a safe walking and biking route for what will be the Annie and Mary Trail between Humboldt Bay Trail North and eventually the Mad River. So the Annie and Mary Trail has been a community vision for over 2 decades, since the last trains ran on this corridor in the late 1990s. Following the City of Arcata's 2019 community outreach, we learned that the preferred option for connecting North Arcata would be along the rail corridor. We'll learn more from Senator McGuire today about his efforts to help railbank this corridor to preserve it for transportation uses. So we're here at Aldergrove Business Park, and the Annie and Mary Trail will provide an active transportation option for residents in Valley West with overpass, walking and biking improvements to get to the trail, as well as employees and businesses in the Aldergrove Park. So just this spring, the City of Arcata received notice that we've been awarded a grant from the Active Transportation Program to complete the plans, designs, and construct this section of the Arcata, Annie, and Mary Trail we've been talking about and looking at today. We will be partnering with the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District for the trailhead in the northern section, which will provide river access to City of Arcata residents. And the city will also be partnering with the county for the section of trail along West End Road in the unincorporated area. So in the next few years, the City of Arcata will be working with community members, adjacent landowners to finalize designs for the trail. So for the section of the trail along West End Road in the unincorporated area, the trail will be along the rail corridor, which is down below the roadway in between the road and the river. So for a much more forest experience. So the next 2 years, the City of Arcata will be refining designs and environmental documentation for the trail. And next, we're going to pop over to Blue Lake to see the completed phase 1 of the Annie and Mary Trail.
Hi, I'm Mike Foggett, City Engineer for City of Blue Lake and a member of the Friends of the Annie and Mary.
I'm Ingrid Kozik, Friends of the Annie and Mary Rail Trail, and here we are at phase 1. We're going to take you on a tour. Hi, welcome to Blue Lake, the beginning of the Great Redwood Trail. This is phase 1 of the Annie Mary. It's completed through Blue Lake. We're going to take you on a little tour of the highlights of our trail through Blue Lake. So we begin here, back in time, 1899, something that rail trails highlight and tribute history. Here we go. Off to, we're headed west.
Okay, next stop is downtown Blue Lake. We're just by the access to the Mad River, and then our downtown with our new town square. And then behind me is the original depot for Blue Lake, and now is our Blue Lake Museum Society, and this is part of our trail process. You saw our LID feature to treat stormwater as part of our trail development when we started off this last clip. We're going to take you to the next part of our trail.
The trail crosses Broderick, and if you head south, you connect with the Powers Creek Trail, and it also takes you out to the Levee Trail. So it's a nice little figure 8 you can do in Blue Lake on trails, and you also are approaching Perigo Park with other fun activities, options, and also sometimes there's food on the weekends, the slow and low barbecue, and on Mondays and Tuesdays you could get some dogs at the dog house while you're riding your bike. Okay, next stop. This ends phase 1 trail through Blue Lake here at Charlton. We want to thank the County of Humboldt, the City of Blue Lake, ATP grant funding, and the Friends of the Annie Mary Rail Trail for their support. This trail, phase 1 ends here at Charlton, and it will continue phase 2 to Glendale and the San Francisco Bay.
All right, so exciting to see. Thank you to the Friends of Annie and Mary Trail. I think they're one of the winners of the award for perseverance and longevity, and super exciting to see the built thing. For all of you who were here at the virtual summit last year, you might remember that we saw nice displays from Ingrid and Mike and pictures and stuff, and to see the real thing built is really exciting to have phase 1. And thank you also to the City of Blue Lake, City of Arcata, and the county for all the wonderful cooperation and collaboration, and all the landowners and residents, and everyone who's ever donated for the Annie and Mary Trail. Don't stop. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to, and also audience, I have heard that my mic was not really performing up to speed. I heard that, and we've made adjustments in the background, so I hope you can hear me better now, but we'll keep working on it if there are problems. So thanks for your patience. All right, so now we're moving to a video about the Little River Trail, and we're going to hear from our hosts from RCAA, which is the Redwood Community Action Agency, and also the Trinidad Coastal Land Trust. And they'll guide you through plans, the Little River Trail, and we're ready for that to take you away. Thank you.
The Little River Trail will ultimately connect Scenic Drive in West Haven to Clam Beach Drive, completing a significant gap in the California Coastal Trail. This non-motorized trail will be separated from, but parallel to Highway 101. Redwood Community Action Agency is leading the current preliminary design and environmental documentation phase, with funding from the California State Coastal Conservancy and under a cooperative agreement with Caltrans. Caltrans will be leading the subsequent phases of design, construction, and eventual maintenance of the Little River Trail. Public support will be essential to advance these future phases of the trail project. RCAA is working closely with Trinidad Coastal Land Trust to lead community outreach efforts for the Little River Trail. Community outreach has included public walks, a Zoom workshop, one-on-one conversations, online surveys, and web updates. Find out more about how you can support the development of this trail by visiting trinidadcoastallandtrust.org.
Now, let's take an on-the-ground look of the Little River Trail.
Hi, we're here at the northern end of the Little River Trail alignment, which is on the very south end of Scenic Drive, and here on the Trinidad Coastal Land Trust property. This property was acquired with support from the State Coastal Conservancy with this trail in mind. Hi, here we are on the northern part of the Little River Trail in this lovely forested alder area right below 101. So it has a really nice feel in here. The trail will gradually slope from the northern end and slowly, continuously go down to the Little River Bridge. But one of the best things about this part of the trail are the views out to the estuary. We are on the current Highway 101 on the Little River Bridge with cars traveling by at 65 mile per hour speeds, and currently cyclists and pedestrians have to hop on the highway between the Hammond Trail and Scenic Drive to get up to Scenic Drive. But the Little River Trail plan will perhaps widen the bridge by 2 feet, allowing more space for a trail with a barrier between the trail and the highway for safe passage. But the best part of this trail section is the views out to the Little River estuary. Okay, so here we are standing on the southern section of the Little River Trail alignment, right next to the off-ramp for Crenell. And right where I'm standing is where the trail will be cut into this dune face here with a barrier between the trail and the off-ramp. Okay. Hi, we're here at the end of the Little River Trail alignment where it connects with Crenell Road and also Clam Beach Road, where cyclists, walkers can connect with the Hammond Trail via this low traffic road.
Thank you so much for watching, and remember that you can find out more about the trail on the trinidadcoastallandtrust.org website under Properties and Little River California Coastal Trail. We hope to see you out there. Bye.
Thank you very much, Trinidad Coastal Land Trust, for really being the key community advocates to advance the Little River Trail, and RCAA for all of the work developing the trail to this point, and that has taken a lot of community members' efforts and input. And just to provide a little bit more context for where the Little River Trail project is hopefully you're seeing this basic map. And the Little River Trail would really provide a connection over the Little River as an alternative to Highway 101. And it would provide great connectivity to the Hammond Coastal Trail outlined here in red, and really providing an extension of our regional trail system towards Trinidad and West Haven. But now we will be hearing next from the Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association, and we'll be hearing from trail users of all ages as they talk about different trail opportunities and systems across the county.
Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association, or RCMBA, is a member-based, nonprofit association located in Humboldt County, California, whose mission is to create, enhance, and preserve great trail riding experiences for mountain bikers on California's Redwood Coast. We promote cycling awareness, advocate for bicycle safety, and are constantly promoting cycling for fun, fitness, and transportation. RCMBA works to preserve, protect, and promote mountain bike access and create diverse riding opportunities on California's public and private lands through education, communication, and a unified community effort.
RCMBA has many valuable partners in the community. We strive to forge lasting relationships with landowners and land managers to provide sustainably built, healthy, outdoor recreational opportunities. Perhaps our most impactful partnership to date is the Hatchery Ridge Trail System on Green Diamond Resource Company land near Blue Lake, California. These trails were the result of years of discussion and a mutual desire between RCMBA and Green Diamond to provide access to a superior, purpose-built, and legal mountain bike riding experience to our local population. These trails have brought visitors from all over Northern California and Southern Oregon. Many of the exciting images you are watching were filmed at this location. The presence of riders on the Hatchery Ridge trails has caught the attention of the city of Blue Lake. The city is hoping to capitalize on this momentum by building a pump track of their own.
Partnering with the Bureau of Land Management, RCMBA assisted with planning and construction of the Lax Creek Trail System on BLM land near Redwood Valley and the Paradise Rail System near Shelter Cove. The BLM and RCMBA maintain a healthy relationship, and RCMBA continues to provide annual volunteer maintenance on these scenic and remote trail systems. The County of Humboldt has a fantastic public forest trail project in the works. The McKay Community Forest, resting along the eastern side of Eureka, will provide safe and legal forest recreation to the population of the greater Eureka area. RCMBA has been assisting with mountain bike route layout and design of the Bicycle Skills Park.
Started years ago by a group of volunteers, the Fortuna Bike Park was in need of an upgrade, and in 2020, RCMBA teamed up with local contractor Wallen Construction to renovate the bike zone. Built almost entirely with labor and materials donated by Wallen Construction, Mercer Fraser, the City of Fortuna, and other community members, the bike park was completely reshaped and beautifully paved. This project was the first of its kind in Humboldt and has been a resounding smashed hit with the community.
In the Arcata Community Forest, RCMBA has donated volunteer labor doing trail maintenance for decades. Recently, RCMBA has collaborated with the City of Arcata staff to develop a trail improvement and maintenance plan for 2 legacy trails in the Arcata Community Forest. These exciting trails on recently acquired land will provide restoration to zones damaged by decades of logging and provide an immediately accessible mountain bike-specific recreation zone to the population of Arcata. RCMBA is also assisting with the development of a pump track and skills zone at Redwood Park and has engaged the high school mountain bike team to perform volunteer trail work. Trail work days are an important component of RCMBA's community contribution. These days are great social opportunities. Folks learn about their fellow community members and basic trail work skills. RCMBA is excited about the future. We have accomplished a lot, but there is much yet to do. Our beautiful area has amazing untapped potential as a recreation destination, and we strive to keep building the momentum to develop this resource for the health and economic good of our community. We hope that you have enjoyed learning about who we are and what we do, and we look forward to seeing you on the trail.
If you wanted to help on a trail day, contribute in any way, or just want to come ride with us, please visit our website, rivercoastmtb.org.
Thank you, RCMBA, Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association. I love saying their acronym too. So did anyone else learn from that? There's a peanut butter trail? I did not know that. I'm gonna have to go find that one. So thank you all for all of you who are part of RCMBA and making that video and all the work you've been doing and all the fantastic writing. Love seeing all that height those young kids were getting. Now to go to some folks who also get height on the trails, but they do it on 4 legs. We're going to hear from some horseback riders about some new equestrian trails. So on to our next video is the, we're ready. There we go.
In the last year, a couple of new equestrian trails have become available to the horse community in Humboldt County. On the Samoa Peninsula, the Samoa Dunes and Wetlands Conservation Area is now open to the public. Humboldt Trails Council recently sponsored a pack-out day there, coordinating the Friends of the Dunes and the Wilderness Riders, which is a unit of our local backcountry horsemen.
Hi, I'm Mike Cipra with Friends of the Dunes, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're dedicated to conserving the natural diversity of coastal environments through community-supported education and stewardship programs. And today we're out here at the Samoa Dunes and Wetlands Conservation Area. We took ownership of this conservation property in October of 2020. It has existing trails. It has a really profound coastal dune forest. Huge parabolic dunes. It's really a wonderland of native coastal diversity, and it's here to explore. It's here for the community. So we're inviting folks to come out. We really appreciate the backcountry horsemen coming out and helping us today, helping us steward this property. This is a community-supported stewardship project, and it's working. It's a really amazing place for people to come out and visit, so I invite you to come out. If you want to find out more about it, go to Friends of the Dunes website, www.friendsofthedunes.org, and we'll see you out on the trail.
Hi, I'm Kathy Mathena, and today we are at the Samoa Dunes and Wetlands, formerly known as the Dog Ranch. Today we're going to be picking up garbage and packing it out with the pack mules.
I'm Jackie Murphy, and I'm with Backcountry Horsemen of California. We're in the Redwood unit, and we're also a subgroup of Backcountry Horsemen of California called the Wilderness Riders. Backcountry Horsemen of California is dedicated to maintaining public lands, both equestrian usage of it and trail maintenance, as well as education. A big focus on safety and packing. This is Susan Combs.
And I too am a member of Redwood Unit and on the board of directors and served as secretary.
and am proud to be a wilderness rider, which is a division of Backcountry Horsemen and affiliated with the Leave No Trace, which is an international organization teaching safe use of the wilderness and responsible use of the wilderness and the outdoors.
If you are interested in learning more about Leave No Trace, the Wilderness Riders teach free classes. You can contact us at the end of the summer. Information will be available. Pack it in, pack it out.
Now we will move north to McKinleyville, where there is a new trail system available to equestrians on Green Diamond land located between Dow's Prairie and Fieldbrook. Shaolan Lou Smith will share information about that trail unit with you.
Hi, I'm Shaolan Lou Smith, Humboldt Equestrian Club President, and we are at the trailhead for the Mather Tract Trail in McKinleyville. Humboldt Equestrian Club was formed in August of 2020. We approached Green Diamond Resource Company to get access to these trails. There's about 1,500 acres worth of trails out here. We are open to equestrians and hikers. We're also dog friendly. And all this access to all these trails are through Humboldt Equestrian Club. You can get a membership. It is $25 for a single membership for a year, and it's $40 for a family membership, which covers up to a family of 4. In the future, we would like to have trail maintenance days, and we will be looking for volunteers for that. We are very appreciative to Green Diamond allowing us to access this beautiful forest. I approached them about a year ago to get this started, and they were willing to partner with Humboldt Equestrian Club. So we are able to access these beautiful trails. Hope you have a great time riding on Humboldt County's trails.
Collaboration on maintaining and cleaning our public trails is essential to trail enjoyment. Please consider joining a group that is working on your favorite riding trail.
Thank you very much, Humboldt Equestrian Club and the Wilderness Riders and Friends of the Dunes, for taking us to new places across the county that many of us may not have been, and wonderful to learn about the Leave No Trace ethic and see some trail maintenance and riding in action. And so briefly, wanted to just share for context where some of these locations are located. So the Friends of the Dunes, Samoa Dunes and Wetlands property is on the Samoa Peninsula, just over the 255 bridges from the city of Eureka. And you can go to friendsofthedunes.org for more information there. And then if you are an equestrian rider or hiker interested in the Mather Tract area and joining the Humboldt Equestrian Club, that area is kind of east of Dow's Prairie, and we'll have contact information for all of the speakers and presenters at the end of the webinar. So we have seen trail maintenance and trail cleanups in action, and now we're going to learn even more with the volunteer trail stewards.
I'm Steve Jones, a board member of the Humboldt Trails Council. Today we'll showcase our Volunteer Trail Stewards Program, VTS, in this video presentation. VTS provides trail maintenance on many local trails, and today I'll highlight 4 of those trails and the many volunteers who comprise the work crews. Each trail has its own separate crew of volunteers who meet in groups to do regular, usually monthly, maintenance. Tasks include trash removal, building new trail segments, rehabilitating trails, removal of invasive species, and much more. Our volunteers are generally trail users who want to give back to their community as a means of sustaining trail development.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wiggy Wetlands. So Redwood Region Audubon Society actually holds an open space easement on this parcel of land that's owned by the city of Eureka. This just means that we can come and make small improvements to the land, such as pulling invasive species and planting natives. The area, which was once known as Parcel 4, I know, really original, is now called Wiggy Wetlands and lies along the shore of Humboldt Bay. Back in the 1940s, the entirety of Wiggy Wetlands and even the Bayshore Mall was once the Holmes Eureka Lumber Company. If you walk through the area now, you'll see only small remnants from that time. Now the area includes part of the Waterfront Trail and contains wonderful habitat for many native and migrant bird species. On any given day, you may see a variety of songbirds, raptors, shorebirds, waterfowl, and seabirds, as well as other wildlife such as white-tailed deer and Pacific chorus frogs. There are also a ton of great native plant species growing in the area that help the wildlife thrive. Although this is a rich habitat, invasive plant species threaten to degrade the ecosystem, making it less habitable. Thanks to the Trail Stewards Program and the City of Eureka, the Audubon Society is able to hold a monthly workday at Wiggy Wetlands. Community volunteers come out to aggressively remove invasive non-native plants such as Scotch broom, Himalayan blackberry, fennel, pampas grass, and many more. The workday occurs on the fourth Saturday of every month, and over the past 2 years, we've been successful in removing thousands of pounds of invasives and hundreds of pounds of trash, making way for native plant growth, ecological recovery, and a beautiful trail for the community.
Despite the pandemic, which shut down workdays for 3 to 4 months on most trails, VTS performed more than 3,600 hours of trail maintenance during 2020. This was accomplished through the efforts of approximately 200 volunteers on 11 trails. Now we will hear from Gail Popham, Trail Coordinator on the Eureka Wharf Trail.
This is the southern section of the Wharf Trail. In 2020, we began to give more attention to this section between Schmidt-Bauer Lumber and Del Norte Street. Prior to 2020, the City of Eureka contracted with the county or the state to have inmates string trim this area. But these efforts ceased when the COVID-19 pandemic started. So for now, the Wharf Trail VTS have taken on this work. This year, we received grant funding to pay for earthwork to level some of the uneven terrain in this area. This will make it much easier to maintain and mow. In the northern section of the Eureka Wharf Trail, across from the Wharf and Jurin Marina, the sides of the trail are narrow and planted with landscaping. Here we focus on weeding, pruning, and applying mulch. For now, we continue mowing where we can and weed eating if the ground is uneven and the weeds are too tall. Over the winter, we managed to dig up all the pampas grass along the trail. After we finish our VTS workday efforts, we enjoy snacks and beverages, spend a few minutes together with friends, discuss the work we just did, as well as any work that might need to be done to keep the trail looking great.
One of our important messages today is that VTS needs you. We hope to provide trail work for the McKay Community Forest later in 2021, so we are scouting for more volunteers. While much trail work is physical, there are generally a variety of tasks to be performed, so volunteers can choose the work that is suitable for them. Reese Hughes will describe the trail activity in the Arcata Community Forest, where he has been a trail coordinator for almost 9 years.
My name is Reese Hughes, and I coordinate the efforts of the hundreds of volunteers who are part of the Arcata Community Forest Volunteer Trail Stewards Program. Amazingly, we begin our 9th year this winter. We work on more than 20 miles of trails in the community forest and the Sunny Brae Forest. We support the Bay Trail North and Shea Park. Unlike most of the other VTS locations, we also do some trail construction. We have helped build the Arcata Ridge Trail, the South Fork Janes Creek Loop Trail, the Beef Creek Loop Trail, the reroute of Trail number 4, and recently the new Peanut Butter Trail. Equestrians, mountain bikers, joggers, and walkers use our trails, and the Bay Trail attracts people in wheelchairs, on skates, bikes, and skateboards. I'll tell you why I liked to do this work. I love being able to walk along community forest trails and see at almost every turn differences that we have made. I love working as a team of volunteers. I love getting to know fellow community members who, in some cases, have come since the very beginning. I love being able to work hard for several hours and seeing a real difference when we wrap things up for the day. And for many years, we ended with lunch, a tradition we hope to resume as the pandemic allows.
The VTS program provides regular maintenance for trails belonging to the City of Arcata, the City of Eureka, and the County of Humboldt. Without VTS, these government departments would be unable to fully maintain the trails in their locales. Knowing that the VTS program can greatly extend their trail maintenance capacity allows these government entities to build more trails. Now we will visit a VTS workday on the Hammond Trail.
Hi everyone, I am Stacy Becker and I've been the coordinator on the Hammond Trail since the Volunteer Trail Stewards began over 10 years ago. So what about the Hammond keeps everyone and me coming back for more? Well, the many stalwart stewards are one big reason. To name a few who've been tending the Hammond for many years, we have Elaine Allison, who's a retired teacher and botanist busy removing invasives. Supervisor Steve Madrone and his family, including Sergio in the past year, and Madrone's been a key player in the history of the Hammond as well. Tom Schallert, Mark Schaffner, and Reese Hughes have gone above and beyond on the Hammond for about 10 years now too, and so many others it's really hard to name a few. The next big reason is county park staff. Mike Orr, Jason Ball, and Ranger Pat have been around from the beginning too, meeting our group with a grin and the guidance, tools, and trash pickup those workdays need. They've been a key to the longevity of the Hammond Stewards group. But finally, the reason we're all out there, the trail, of course. How's the Hammond unique? It's diversity. It's diverse with trail users, and over 5 miles, it runs through so many diverse ecosystems. I'm using this term loosely, but heading south to north, we can see the Arcata Bottoms, the Mad River and Bridge, the McKinleyville Bottoms, up onto the McKinleyville Bluffs, past Hillard Park, then Coastal Castles, up to the Widow White Creek Interpretive Trail, and finally coming out to spectacular overlook views of the Mad River mouth, a spit of sea lions, and then down to the beach. It's a great trail with great county support and great volunteers over the years. I thank all of these folks and Humboldt Trails Council as well.
We extend a special thanks to the Humboldt Bay Trail Fund Committee for its generous support of the VTS program during the last 3 years. If you are interested in becoming a volunteer trail steward, here's the process. 1. Go to the HTC website at humtrails.org. 2. Click on Volunteer in the menu bar. 3. Review the list of trail sites and send an email to the location that you want to volunteer for. That trail coordinator will add your name to the mailing list and contact you for the next trail workday.
Thank you, volunteer trail stewards. We could not have these trails without you. And thank you, any of the audience who have been on one of those trail days. Not sure that you all know also having the generosity and hard work of trail stewards help with trail maintenance actually makes our cities and county more competitive for getting grant money to construct trails. So keep that in mind and find out how you can support it. So now we're going to move on to a very exciting new project, a soon to be released online bike and trail map. We'll hear from Stevie Luther from the Humboldt County Association of Governments, who's working with Plan West Partners and Redwood Coast Action Agency for this new online interactive map.
Hi, I'm Stevie Luther. I'm the Associate Regional Planner for HCOG, the Humboldt County Association of Governments. I'm also a volunteer board member for the Humboldt Trails Council. Today, I'm excited to be presenting the Humboldt County Online Bicycle and Trail Map. This interactive, web-based tool is something people have been asking about for years. The map is still in development and not yet available to the public, so the sneak peek is exclusive to the Trails Summit. Before I give you the full tour, why is this important? HCOG is the agency responsible for preparing and updating reports like the Regional Trails Master Plan and the Regional Bicycle Plan. An online bicycle map like this helps meet HCOG's policy goals by encouraging more people to walk and bike. We know there is a huge demand for a map, as the print version of the Humboldt Bay Area bike map flies off the shelves. Having an accurate map at your fingertips makes it easier, safer, and more convenient to get places by walking, biking, or rolling. This increase in active transportation not only improves public health, but also benefits the local economy by increasing recreational opportunities for visitors who love our trail system. In Humboldt County, transportation accounts for over 50% of greenhouse gas pollution. Local governments are working to help increase the proportion of people biking to work and everyday destinations. This map project and all the trail projects you hear about today that connect people to places are crucial climate solutions. Here is the online bike map. This is an overview of the county, and I'm going to zoom in to Arcata here, where we know that there are a lot of bike facilities. You can see we have the off-street trails with the dashed lines. And then we have class 2 bike lanes shown in the orange, the class 3 shared lane in the yellow, and then the red are the paved, separated bike paths, like the waterfront, or like the Bay Trail and Shea Park. What's great is that you can toggle between these. So I can put in the class 1 trails, or see the class 2, and the class 3. The map also includes bike shops as well as bike parking. There's also a geolocate feature that will take you to your location. So here I am in Eureka, and here we can see the waterfront trail, as well as bike lanes and shared roads. I'm going to switch over to our working GIS map now. So here's McKinleyville, and what we have here with the dashed lines are community recommended routes. These are routes that aren't officially classified as bike routes, but are commonly used roads that people use to connect from neighborhoods to bike paths, like we see here on Hiller Road. And then over on Murray Road, you can see the more advanced routes are shown for anyone adventurous enough to ride up to Fieldbrook. All of this data was verified on the ground by a group of bike advocates who volunteered their time to make sure all this information is as accurate as possible. This map project also wouldn't have been possible without all the support from the Redwood Community Action Agency. When finished, this online map will be hosted on HCOG's website, which is at hcog.net. HCOG is also updating the Regional Transportation Plan right now, which guides the overall direction for transportation funding priorities in the county, and we welcome your input in that process.
Thank you very much, Stevie, for that sneak peek into the new online bike and trails map. I know I am very excited to get to use that. And I'm very excited for that to be a resource for residents and visitors alike. And we have so much trail development happening that our paper bike maps are rapidly becoming obsolete. So it's very exciting to have a modern, easily updatable resource for our community. Great, so we are next going to transition to the northern part of the county, to Oric, and learn about a new trail in Redwood National Park.
Hello, I'm Ted Humphrey. I'm a trails volunteer with the National Park Service here at Redwood National and State Parks. And I'm standing here at a location that's going to be the new visitor center for Redwood National and State Parks here just north of Oric. This area used to be a mill site, and it is going to be the future home of a visitor center for Redwood National and State Parks. The visitor center has been planned for approximately the last 10 years. However, there are a number of reasons that it's been postponed, and construction actually won't start for yet we don't know, maybe 5 years from now. We'll see. However, we're going to go ahead with the trail, and a trailhead here and a parking area will be constructed in the near future. And we're going to take a walk up to the Centennial Tree, which is close by, and we'll see a little bit about the connector trail that's going to be going up to the Berry Glen Trail and access to other parts of the park. Okay, we're here on the Centennial Trail, or what will be the Centennial Trail. This roadbed will be converted to an ADA accessible trail out to the Centennial Tree starting this coming fall. Okay, here we are at the Centennial Tree. This tree is called Centennial Tree because about 100 years ago, the National Park Service and the Save the Redwoods League were both established in their present form and configuration. And this tree was available and was here for observation when we had a centennial celebration for those two events, the establishment of the National Park and the Save the Redwoods League both. This tree is remarkable because it has such low reiterations or low branching, and it's typical of the canopy. The top of all of these tall redwoods lose their single stem as it comes closer and closer to the top. And this tree is a good example of what happens at the top of redwood trees. I'm on the Trillium Falls Trail here, and this trail tread and width is about what it's going to be like on the connector trail that goes between the Centennial Tree and the Berry Glen Trail. I think it should be a very nice, respectable walk, easy for people to come and enjoy the redwoods. Okay, I'm at the junction of the connector trail and the Berry Glen Trail. The camera and Steve are on the Berry Glen Trail, and I'm standing next to a flag that likely indicates the proposed path of the connector trail. This, from this point, it's 1.5 miles, maybe a little more, up to Lady Bird Johnson Grove, and 1 mile back down to Highway 101, 1.5 miles back to the Elk Grove parking, Elk Meadow parking area. Now I'm on the Berry Glen Trail, just coming off the connector, coming up from the Centennial Tree. I'm headed east toward Lady Bird Johnson Grove. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the walk all the way up there, and I hope you can come enjoy this walk too.
Is that beautiful or what? Okay, I know we all love all those beautiful nature things about Humboldt County. All right, so thank you, Ted Humphrey and Redwood National and State Parks. Now we are sliding into our final recorded video. We're going to go to now the city of Eureka and hear what new things are afoot there. We're hearing from Jesse Willer, the city engineer, and Scott Elmsmore, special project manager.
Hello, my name is Jesse Willer. I'm the city engineer for the city of Eureka. Today we have a short video to share on two trails in the city, the Elk River Estuary Trail and the Beta Zoo Trail. The city has been actively planning and implementing trail projects for years. As many of you are aware, the Waterfront Trail is the jewel of the city and provides amazing opportunities for non-motorized transportation, recreation, and coastal access. The video footage you are seeing now is the alignment of the unofficially named Elk River Estuary Trail. This proposed trail connects the Hicksari Trail and the rest of the Waterfront Trail to the south city limits near the Humboldt Hill overcrossing. The trail is designed and is scheduled for construction with the rest of the Elk River Estuary and Tidal Marsh Enhancement Project in the spring of 2022. Funding for the trail and the enhancement project is provided by many agencies, but primarily through the State Coastal Conservancy. Physically, the project connects to the Hicksari Trail at the railroad crossing near Pound Road off of the Herrick overcrossing. It parallels the rail corridor for about a mile before diverging from the tracks and terminating at a parking lot connected to the 2B Road near Humboldt Hill overcrossing. This trail will provide a number of benefits, including extending non-motorized transportation networks and increasing recreation and nature viewing opportunities. Extending a trail to Humboldt Hill serves a community that is cut off from the access to the city without getting in a car or taking a bus. This trail also extends the future Great Redwood Trail south towards the College of the Redwoods, Fortuna, the Eel River Valley, and beyond. This segment is unique in many ways as it's situated adjacent to and over the Elk River, its estuary, and is directly across from the Humboldt Bay Harbor entrance. The flora and fauna associated with the proposed 114-acre estuary enhancement project, as well as all the marine species in the harbor entrance, are a tantalizing opportunity for nature lovers. The coastline views along the trail are breathtaking on a clear day at sunset, a view all the public will be able to enjoy soon when the trail is completed. Next, Scott Elsmore, the city's traffic special project manager, will share some information on the Beta Zoo Trail.
Hi there. I am Scott Elsmore with the Transportation Division of the Public Works Department of the City of Eureka. We are very excited to be here talking about the Beta Zoo Trail today. In the year 2000, the Eureka Trails Commission discussed a greenbelt trail through gulches and greenways to connect the waterfront with neighborhoods and schools in between. This was the point of origin for this trail. With the completion of the Waterfront Trail in 2017 and the soon-to-be completed Humboldt Bay Trail, this vision is one step closer to happening. The Beta Zoo Trail will connect to the existing Waterfront Trail near Tidd Street, then proceed south, traversing the coastal plain, gulches and greenways while connecting neighborhoods, schools, St. Joseph Hospital, and converging at Sequoia Park, approximately 3 miles south of its origins of Waterfront Trail. The Beta Zoo Trail will provide a non-motorized transportation route for citizens, as well as creating connections for neighborhoods and schools and encouraging active transportation. Creating a multi-layered transportation network is a priority for the City of Eureka. Connecting the Waterfront Trail, future Humboldt Bay Trail North, and the Eureka Loop Trails give our public opportunities to enjoy and explore the places that make our region so special. With the completion of the Beta Zoo Trail, users will have a connection point from the Sequoia Park and Zoo to the Waterfront Trail. From this point, users can continue south on the Waterfront Trail as far as Herrick Avenue, with a future connection with the Elk River Estuary Trail extending this. And with the completion of the Humboldt Bay Trail north, users can then access Arcata to the north as well. We are excited with what the future holds for non-motorized transportation options throughout the city of Eureka, along with connecting with our regional partners. We appreciate you taking the time to explore this trail with us today. Please stay tuned to the City of Eureka homepage for future updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jesse and Scott, for detailing new trail development within the city of Eureka, and particularly getting that bird's eye view of the Elk River Estuary Trail and Beta Zoo Trail that is in the planning stage. And so thank you to all of the video presenters, we've learned a lot so far on this summit, lots of excitement. And now we will head into another live portion. So I really want to introduce Senator Mike McGuire for being here again with us for the 5th Trail Summit. And thank you for really being a champion of the Great Redwood Trail that has so many benefits here in Humboldt and throughout the North Coast. And this year he introduced Senate Bill 69, which really would transition the North Coast Railroad Authority to a trail agency. So thank you very much for joining us today, and look forward to hearing all of your latest updates.
Hey, what's going on, Emily? Good morning to you. I love the hat, and it is the theme of the day, moving forward with the construction of trails throughout Northern California, right here at home on the North Coast. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you. It is truly remarkable, I got to say, what Humboldt County and that all of you have been doing to move trail projects forward over the last few years. We want to say thank you. Thank you to the Trails Council, the County of Humboldt, the cities of Arcata, Fortuna, Eureka, and Blue Lake. You have all been leading the way on trail development. We owe you a debt of gratitude. Can we give the Trails Council, the cities, the county, a round of applause from our living rooms and say how grateful we are for your leadership in getting the job done. Look, now more than ever, with the pandemic subsiding, I hope you would agree with me. We have a unique opportunity at this moment in history to be able to think differently, to advance a vision for the North Coast that advances our progressive values, that protects our open spaces and watersheds, and helps build a more equitable economy for every resident, that will help lift up rural economies and communities out of poverty. And we know that Trails runs through this vision. Like never before, the American public want the opportunity to be able to connect with nature and do good with the dollars that they spend. And your leadership has never been more critical on the creation of hiking, biking, and riding trails throughout the North Coast, from the Oregon border all the way to the majestic Golden Gate Bridge. And because of our shared action, we're making more progress on trails like never before. For the last few years, we've been working hard to pass the policy to be able to secure the funding and develop the infrastructure to create an experience like no other on the planet, and that's the development of the Great Redwood Trail. And I got to be candid, we couldn't do this without the partnership and the leadership of the Humboldt Trails Council and leaders like Supervisor Mike Wilson. We want to say thank you for your amazing partnership. The Great Redwood Trail, it would be 300 miles long, and we're going to transition the dilapidated NCRA railway between Humboldt Bay and San Francisco Bay to the Great Redwood Trail. And the Great Redwood Trail will become the longest rail trail in the United States of America. The trail would be the spine for the North Coast, with multiple trails and recreational opportunities branching off of it, connecting communities, connecting state and national parks, and connecting people with nature. Now, I know many of you are familiar with the start of this project, but I'd like to do a quick recap, if it's all right with everybody, for those who are just joining the summit for the first time. Some quick history. Railroads here on the North Coast, like we saw throughout the rest of America, started to close down. Here on the North Coast, they started to close down as Highway 101 was improved. Trucking became a heck of a lot cheaper. Natural resources became scarcer, and maintaining the railroad became significantly more expensive. Stitching together money from a variety of sources, the state created the North Coast Railroad Authority back in 1992. It was a valiant effort to be able to save freight here on the North Coast. But unfortunately, NCRA, they faced the same fate that private railroads faced throughout the nation in the preceding decades. And after severe flooding and slides, the railroad was shut down by the federal government in 1998. NCRA, they were never able to recover from the shutdown. But I gotta say, this failure of NCRA is the North Coast gain. It's the gain for the people of Northern California. It now gives us the ability to create a truly world-class hiking, biking, and riding trail network that will be the West Coast equivalent to the Appalachian Trail. So let's get into some of the details of the Great Redwood Trail now that we've gone through some of the history. In late 2018, then Governor Jerry Brown, he signed SB 1029 into law. That was the NCRA Closure and Transition to Trails Act. That really was the start of this whole mission. The act called for the state of California to conduct thorough audit of NCRA finances, which I got to tell you were dismal. Their debts were large, and we had to figure out how to be able to close the rail agency down and begin transitioning to the Great Redwood Trail. The audit, here's the good news, that audit that was mandated by SB 1029, it was completed last year, and it's dramatically helped us with our roadmap and to be able to allow us to forge ahead. At this point, in fact, I'll even say most of NCRA's long-term debts have been paid, including the sequel lawsuits, and it's about damn time. And we're working on the final payments over the next few months. The southern portion of the Great Redwood Trail, that has formally been transferred to SMART, the Sonoma-Marin Area Rail Transit Authority. It was a district that was created. It's a commuter rail system that now connects Sonoma and Marin counties. We've transitioned the southern portion management and ownership of the GRTA to the SMART agency. They will control from the San Francisco Bay to the Mendocino-Sonoma County line. The state is working on the final details on the buyout of the ill-conceived freight contract that was still running on the southern portion of what is going to be the GRTA. That freight contract will soon be under public ownership by the SMART Rail Agency. And I got to tell you, even though we've been cleaning up the mess that NCRA created over the last few decades, we haven't been sitting around while all of this has been happening. In the last 3 years, thanks to your amazing support and our teamwork, we've secured over $35 million in trail development funding, and trails are being constructed in Marin, Sonoma, Humboldt, as well as Mendocino counties. NCRA, they have a brand new set of a board of directors who have now fully embraced the mission of trails going away from rails. And they've been working with us and trail organizations throughout Northern California to get the Great Redwood Trail built. Now there's some additional good news. On March 13th, this is so exciting. On March 13th, the North Coast Railroad Authority, the new board, filed their historical and environmental report to the Surface Transportation Board with the federal government. This is a massive first step in rail banking, the 175-mile portion of the rail line from Willits all the way up to Samoa, and that's also going to include branches that would connect Blue Lake, Samoa, Corbell, and Carlotta. Now, rail banking is a really critical piece of this puzzle, and it's just what it sounds like. Preserving the rail bed so that it stays a transportation corridor forever and cannot be broken up. What we are really concerned about is that this rail bed would be broken up by private landowners, and this will preserve the rail bed for trails in perpetuity, with the excellent added benefit that it could be turned into a trail as long as there is not a freight operator that would operate on that line. And let's just be candid, my opinion, let's be candid. There hasn't been a freight operator that's operated on this portion of the line since the 90s. It's never going to happen, and the trail would be built right on top of the rails. Now, this has been done hundreds of times across the nation over the past many decades. In fact, 25,000 miles of rail has been transitioned to trails in rural communities and urban centers throughout America. And while rail banking is a complex federal process, we're moving through quickly and hope to have this process done by the end of this summer or early fall. If y'all can knock on wood, it's going to get done here by fall. And yet some additional good news. So what happens when the right-of-way it closes down, and what happens when NCRA shuts down for good? Well, we got a plan for that. We introduced Senate Bill 69, as you heard Emily say just a few moments ago. We introduced that bill in January of this year. Under the legislation, all of NCRA's assets, rights, and responsibilities, it's going to be transitioned to a new agency, which we're going to call the Great Redwood Trail Authority, or the GRTA. Once this happens, the GRTA will be able to focus exclusively on trail master planning and trail development. The bill was approved. This is so exciting. The bill was approved by the Senate Transportation Committee, the Appropriations Committee, and just this past Tuesday, with a bipartisan, unanimous vote, it passed out of the entire state Senate, and we're heading over to the state assembly. Now, let's talk about budget. One of the top questions that we always get, rightfully so, by the way, is how the heck are you going to pay for the Great Redwood Trail? Well, this is just some of the best news that we've had since we started this endeavor. We are on the cusp. We are on the cusp this year on the boldest investment in trails in modern history here in the Golden State. The state of California knows that our outdoor recreational economy is one of our largest economic drivers. In fact, it's worth $92 billion annually. The outdoor recreational economy, which is the heart of the North Coast economy, the state's outdoor recreational economy employs nearly 700,000 Californians with over $30 billion in wages. And it generates $6 billion in state and local tax revenue. All those dollars go back to the communities here on the North Coast and throughout the state. And what we know is that trails are at the heart of California's booming outdoor recreational economy. In fact, we believe the outdoor recreational economy will be one of the few sectors in the state that will see more than a 10% growth coming out of COVID, because so many folks connected back to nature during the pandemic. And when we've been working day and night to be able to secure the funding to boldly move the Great Redwood Trail forward, along with trail projects here on the North Coast and throughout the Golden State. And we firmly believe that this year, 2021 and into 2022 will be the best year for trail development in the state of California in decades, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, this would never have gotten done without the Humboldt Trails Council. Let's give them a round of applause and say thank you. We are on the cusp of something big here on the North Coast, as well as the rest of the Golden State. So we've talked a lot about good news, and we got a lot of good news to share, but we do have some challenges, and we always want to be transparent with that. Let's face it, the biggest challenge with the Great Redwood Trail, it is an ambitious project. It's 300 miles long, involves multiple cities, 4 counties, multiple state agencies, and the federal government. We still have to finish unwinding the NCRA, which we'll have done here in the next 6 to 12 months. And we have a lengthy master planning process in front of us that needs to include thorough environmental analysis, and it's going to include some cleanup. So the biggest challenges in front of us is that the Great Redwood Trail is going to take some time to be able to build out. But here's been my commitment all along. We're not going to move this project forward fast. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it well. And we already have one hell of a start thanks to each and every one of you on this Zoom and in this room. And we have some of the best professional trail planners in the business on our side. And we're working nonstop to be able to make this project happen. The Great Redwood Trail is not going to be a place just for beauty and exercise, social and environmental benefits. It's going to become an economic driver for all the communities that it runs through here on the North Coast. Finally, I just can't believe it. You know, when we first kicked off the idea of the Great Redwood Trail, there was a lot of excitement, but there was also a mountain of skepticism, doubts, and candidly, firm opposition. Believe it or not, there are still folks out there that actually believed a train might somehow magically appear on this line and head up the Eel River Canyon. Well, I got to say this, with all of you on this Zoom today, helping to lead the charge, we have already come so far, and I got to say, skeptics included, folks are coming to realize that the Great Redwood Trail is already happening. It's going to get done, and it's going to get done thanks to your hard work. I want to say thank you for your amazing support. Thank you for your 100% partnership. Thank you for your hard work. I'm so grateful to be here with you. And the final thank you I want to say is to Jason Lyles, who is on with me, who I get to work with each and every day. Not only is he one of my best friends, but he has really been leading the charge in our office to make the Great Redwood Trail a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to your questions. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you here. And let's get the damn job done.
All right. You've never been accused of a lack of enthusiasm. Thank you so much for all your energy and for what I know has been called the landmark legislation that brought to light, and more importantly, brought to the Senate this awesome concept of the Great Redwood Trail. Thank you so much for being here, Senator. So one kind of combined question, what can people do, or how can they help with the rail banking efforts and the efforts to form the new Great Redwood Trail Authority?
It's a great question. So look, we're going to need folks to start contacting the Surface Transportation Board in the federal government. So what's going to happen right now is that Jason Lyles is going to put his email into the chat. Here, I'm going to give it out right now verbally, and then he'll also put it into the chat. So we're going to need letters of support, emails of support, phone calls to be able to go into the Surface Transportation Board. Candidly, we got to mobilize, we got to organize, we got to get this thing done. So here's the email. Please contact Jason Lyles. The email is jason.lyles, L-I-L-E-S, at sen.ca.gov. Jason Lyles will be putting his email into the chat. I'm going to give it out one more time. We need you to start contacting the Surface Transportation Board. We'll give you all the contact information. The email one more time, jason.lyles, L-I-L-E-S, at sen.ca.gov. So that's what we're really going to need to do here in the coming weeks, is to be able to get folks throughout the North Coast. We'd love to be able to see hundreds of emails coming in and letting the Surface Transportation Board know that this is a priority for our communities.
Thank you, Senator, for really letting folks know how they can take action.
What happened to the hard hat?
Well, now we're some homage to our rail line and for other transportation purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if you are tuning in to this Trail Summit via Zoom webinar, you can put any questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are tuning in via Facebook Live, you can put questions in the comments and we will get to them that way. And if you submitted questions prior, either those questions will be touched on today, or will Summit organizers will be getting back to you and especially sharing key contact info of the presenters that will have more information. But we have some more questions in the queue, and I think this one can be addressed to Hank. And there has been a number of questions in the chat about the term non-motorized transportation and also about electric bicycles. And so non-motorized transportation has kind of been an accepted general term for non-vehicular gas-powered motorized transportation. But this term really also encompasses motorized wheelchairs and pedal assist electric bikes. So kind of two questions for you, Hank. What considerations will be given for a variety of motorized methods of transport needed for those with disabilities? And are there different categories of electric bikes allowed on local trails? And is there a speed limit?
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, I'll take those two questions. And I'll address the first question in the context of the Humboldt Bay Trail. So the Humboldt Bay Trail is being developed primarily with transportation funds. And so it's intended to provide an alternative to highways, and that really enhances safety and makes it accessible for a wide variety of users. The predominant users will be bicyclists and pedestrians, but it's also important to emphasize that the Humboldt Bay Trail will be accessible to self-propelled wheelchairs and other approved mobility devices. And so it's really important that that the Humboldt Bay Trail and other transportation trails be accessible for people with disabilities. And so there's a real commitment to ensure that we meet the design standards for that. And then a few years ago, California did pass a law that cleared bicycles. And so these are also known as e-bikes. And there are three types of e-bikes. The Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes have a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour. And under state law, those are defined as not being motor vehicles. And so under state law, e-bikes, Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes are allowable on paved bike paths unless a local jurisdiction passes an ordinance to the contrary. So there's a presumptive allowance for Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes that have that maximum speed of 20 miles per hour. Certainly e-bike riders should be considerate of the other users, be aware of their speeds, and yield to other cyclists and pedestrians.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hank. And I think Una has the next question.
Yeah, I have a question that has come up for the Senator. How will the Great Redwood Trail support rural economies and small businesses?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and thank you for that question. Look, here's what we already know and what's growing. There are very few economic sectors that actually grew in the pandemic. There are three major sectors that grew. Online retail grew significantly. Alcohol generated, we had more alcohol tax than we've ever had before. Everyone was coping. And three, our outdoor recreational economy. Our outdoor recreational economy actually grew during the pandemic because so many folks took to trails, took to the beach, and got outdoors. So prior to the California's outdoor recreational economy is worth $92 billion. It generates $6 billion in local and state taxes. And what we know through the Rails to Trail network across the United States, trails explicitly benefit rural economies because they become a destination. They become a destination for both locals and visitors alike. And we firmly believe that the Great Redwood Trail will be a key destination for Northern California. There is no other place in the world where you're going to be able to hike bay to bay, from Humboldt Bay down to San Francisco Bay. We know that there will be enhanced bed tax revenue along the trail. What we've seen in other rural parts of America is that farmers, ranchers, rural landowners have developed bed and breakfasts. They've actually done glamping along the trail. It actually becomes a revenue driver for individual property owners if they so choose. And those taxes benefit vital services in our communities. So, last thing I'll say, Una, is the folks that will be visiting have significant income to spend. Those who are participating in the outdoor recreational economy tend to be middle class to higher wealth individuals who come to the community and don't just stay for the day, but stay anywhere between 48 and 72 hours as they hike portions of the trail each and every day, spending dollars along the way, staying the night, and then heading back home. So Humboldt and Del Norte County are going to see some of their highest bed tax revenue that they've ever seen coming out of this pandemic. We firmly believe that the Great Redwood Trail will be an even greater economic driver and candidly bringing sustainability to local budgets as well, because we firmly believe, as we've seen across America, this is not anecdotal, what we've seen across America is that people flock to these world-class trail projects. And we firmly believe that this is going to happen right here on the North Coast as well.
Thank you. Emily?
Yes. So we have a next question for Hank with more specifics. A participant looking for more understanding of the Annie and Mary Trail segment between Blue Lake and Glendale, and seeing if you can speak to what the separation of the trail will be like from Highway 299.
Sure. So the Annie and Mary Trail segment from Blue Lake to Glendale is envisioned to extend kind of northwest from Charlton Road and to go along the railroad grade there, to go through a tunnel under Highway 299. That existing tunnel provides great separation from the highway. And then we're envisioning that the trail would curve westward and would be situated within the Caltrans right-of-way at the far end. So it would be within the right-of-way fence, and it would go parallel to Highway 299 until it got to Glendale Drive. And so that's the proposed alignment there. The Caltrans right-of-way is wide there, and situating the trail there would allow us to avoid encroaching onto the adjacent ranch. And part of the design includes looking at appropriate locations where there may be a need for a cable barrier to enhance safety between the trail and the highway. So that's the current trail alignment proposed there.
Thank you for more of that detail, Hank.
Okay, we didn't plan it this way. It just seems to be happening. I have now a question for the senator. Two related questions were, how will the different counties coordinate together to plan the Great Redwood Trail, and then this one, and then how will local communities be able to participate in the master planning and prioritize segments?
Yeah, it's a great question. So number one is, let's talk about the master planning process and how counties are going to participate. So number one, there are representatives, elected representatives from Humboldt, Mendocino, and Sonoma counties currently on the NCRA Board of Directors. We have majority of county supervisors who are already on the board, who are coordinating right now on trail development in the master planning process. So the thought would be is that we would have individuals from both state and local counties on the new GRTA board. So not only are we going to be coordinated here locally, but we're going to have a coordinated approach when it comes to the construction, operations, and maintenance long-term of the Great Redwood Trail. Number two, one of the items that I neglected to say that Una asked, and it was a great question, is how are local communities going to benefit from the Great Redwood Trail economy? The other piece is we want to look at a portion of this trail to have local hire, so that we're hiring residents from the North Coast to be able to build the trail. That's going to be really critical. The master plan process. The master plan process is going to be expansive and it's going to take us some time. And the reason being is the consultants who will be brought on to execute the master planning process with the Great Redwood Trail Authority Board. We'll literally be going community to community, community group by community group, seeking input, seeking concerns, and answering questions. Then they're also going to be looking at the different segments of the trail. What areas of the trail can be built quicker than others? Where are we going to need to do environmental cleanup? We are going to have to deal with some of these tunnels as well. How are we going to advance the trail through, around, or over the tunnels? There are several issues that we're going to need to be able to work through, but that master plan process will develop the roadmap. It's going to develop the roadmap for how much construction is going to cost. And I want to remind folks, out of the 175 miles from Willits all the way up to the Humboldt Bay, probably about 90 to 95% of that is going to be dirt or gravel on the rail bed. So it's going to be relatively inexpensive. It's not going to look like the trail that's behind Emily. That is much more expensive. It's not going to be asphalt. Again, it's a backcountry trail going through the Eel River Canyon. And as you get closer and go through communities, you'll see a more compacted gravel or asphalt surface. But a lot of this trail is going to be relatively inexpensive to build because it's going to be a backcountry trail. Last piece is, how are we going to fund the master planning process? We firmly believe, and I don't want to get it out in front of my skis, but we firmly believe that we're going to have the dollars in this year's budget to move the master plan forward. This will be the most expansive master planning trails process that we've had on the North Coast for probably over a half century. And it's going to look at all aspects from the Mendocino Sonoma County line, all the way up into Humboldt County. And it's going to take a few years to complete. And you're most likely going to see different segments of the master plan process completed and released as we go along. So stay tuned, and we couldn't be more excited to be able to get these dollars secured and get this master planning process kicked off. And then we're going to need the community to be able to turn out for input. Una, did that answer the question?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, we have a next question for Hank. How is the Humboldt Bay Trail being designed as railway trail to work alongside Timber Heritage Association speeder excursion trains?
Thanks, Emily. So the county's project is to extend from the Eureka Slough area behind Target, and then along to the Brainerd Mill site, and then up towards the Breakup Industrial Park, and to connect to the southern end of Arcata's existing trail. And one of the important design principles for our project was to be compatible with Timber Heritage Association speeders where they're currently being used, and to allow for expansion of that use in the future. So our design does accommodate their existing speeder use where it's currently available based on the condition of the rail corridor. So that goes, our design will be compatible for speeder use over the Eureka Slough Bridge and then along the rail corridor down to the Brainerd Mill site. Between the Brainerd Mill site and Breakup, the rail corridor is severely damaged from erosion, and there's actually, I would say, a significant flood hazard to the highway. And so the Bay Trail is an important opportunity to invest in repairing the rail corridor and the shoreline armoring that'll protect the highway, the rail corridor, and the future trail. And we're leaving horizontal space that would allow the rails to be reestablished there if there can be funding secured by THA to do that restoration. And also having that separation between the trail and the current rail corridor provides a factor of safety from flood hazards to trail users. So it's a complicated corridor there, and there's been a lot of considerations in trying to find the optimal design.
Thank you, Hank.
Thanks, Hank. Senator, are there any considerations around promoting the connection of the Great Redwood Trail to the California Coastal Trail, San Francisco Bay Trail, or Bigfoot Trail, among others?
It's a great question. Hell yes. We would love to be able to move that forward. Look, I just want to be honest, though. I think where our mission is right now is we got to first build the spine, right? So our focus is let's get the spine of the North Coast master plan and start really moving dirt. So once we have portions of that trail built, of the Great Redwood Trail built, then we're going to say, all right, it's going to make sense to be able to connect to another trail system. It's going to be able to make sense to connect to a state park or up to the national park. So think of the Great Redwood Trail as the spine, and then we're going to have feeder trails connecting to larger trail systems, state and national parks, or communities, rural communities as well. It will be well marked. As we see, like for example, I think someone in the chat talked about the Katy Trail in Missouri. If you go out and visit the Katy Trail in Missouri, it is just like we just talked about. It is one large spine that then connects mostly rural communities, and it's well marked with signage as well as feeder trails that go into the heart of those individual downtowns. So we couldn't be more excited to be able to get this moved, and absolutely our goal would be to connect to other major trail systems. The last thing I'll say on this, we've had representatives in Delnor County say, hey, look, we want the Great Redwood Trail to be connected with us. It is absolutely our long-term focus, but what we have to really hone in on right now is we got to get the master plan funding secured. I firmly believe we're going to do that this year. Number two, we have to get the master plan process kicked off. Number three, we got to reconstitute this board, which we'll do with the passage of SB 69. And then the last piece is we have to get trail construction dollars ready to go for the spine of the Great Redwood Trail. I really think that we are on a cusp. We're on a cusp of seeing hundreds of millions of dollars that will need to be moved in the next 24 to 36 months for the Great Redwood Trail and then other trails throughout the North Coast and, of course, throughout the Golden State in all corners. We are in a really great period, I think, for all of us, and we got to be able to seize this moment and to be able to move forward.
Thank you, Senator. We had another similar, type of question that really is also probably speaking to your priority to really focus on the spine, the main network of the Great Redwood Trail. But a question around if the Great Redwood Trail Authority would kind of help coordinate access and complete streets connections from communities and neighborhoods to the trail itself. And so one thought that I definitely, have seen is that people are interested in being able to access these main trails just from their house and from walking or biking or whatever mode of transportation. And so really see also once we are starting to expand our trail system that community members can really express that need to local jurisdictions and the Great Redwood Trail Authority to expand those complete streets connections to the trail itself. Just wondered if either of you had thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll be brief and I'll turn it over to Hank. And we're so lucky to have Hank and his leadership and moving so many issues forward all at once. So first and foremost, we need to have a new board of the Great Redwood Trail Authority that is going to have a look at not just trails, but how we connect communities and how we change the way we live with what Emily just said in the way we develop streets and connectivity with trails to city centers. So on the board, you're going to see a member of the Department of Transportation from the state gives us an overview of transportation, right? Whether it's highways, connecting communities, or trails. We're going to have an individual from the Department of Natural Resources. And then we want to be able to have an at-large member of the public to be able to sit on. Then we'd like to be able to have the Senate and the Assembly appoint one individual each from the communities that would be that would benefit from the Great Redwood Trail. And I say that because the vision of the Great Redwood Trail, while we have to get the spine built long-term, we think that this could be a game changer. And it's going to build off of the amazing work that the Humboldt Trails Company, Humboldt Trails Council has been doing for years, by the way. We're coming late to this game. Hank and the Humboldt Trails Council has been leading this charge for so long. But Hank, I think it makes perfect sense of that everything is going to be connected to each other here in the decades to come. But I don't want to put words in your mouth, Hank.
Absolutely, Senator. And, locally, City of Eureka, City of Arcata have really prioritized connecting their neighborhoods to these belt line and, more high-use corridors. And Fortuna has the same vision. The county's role is to trying to connect communities. And so I really see, an opportunity to continue to support the cities and small communities along the spine of the Great Redwood Trail. I also wanted to highlight how the Great Redwood Trail converges on the coast with the California Coastal Trail and the tremendous support of the State Coastal Conservancy. In my mind, they're one of the most productive and effective state agencies.
Oh, yeah.
And I know there's going to be a lot of synergy and a lot of coordination and collaboration between the Great Redwood Trail Agency and the Conservancy. And we've really got this amazing opportunity to link our amazing coast and our amazing redwood interior.
Yeah, if it's okay, Emily and Una, real quick, Hank's absolutely right. In fact, we were just on a week before last with the city manager from Blue Lake and Del Arte about, there's a 2-3 mile stretch that they'd like to be able to get funding for and how we can connect the community. Again, I look at, you all have set the stage. You all have been doing the hard work that makes the Great Redwood Trail a reality. We wouldn't be here without the Humboldt Trails Council. I'm just being blunt about it. There's no way in hell that the Great Redwood Trail would be built without each and every one of you, your leadership, your advocacy, your organizing, and your mobilizing. And I really do believe that we can build off that success that you have and the foundation of success that you've established here in the years and decades to come. And I have so much gratitude, and I'm not trying to blow smoke. I've never seen a more organized organization and membership than the Humboldt Trails Council. When we need you, you get out there, you are vocal, and you are tenacious in the fight for not just the GRTA, but obviously all issues of trails. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and hear, hear. So this is actually, when I think about it, a question for both of you. Who will build the Great Redwood Trail?
So it's going to be built in segments. So this master plan process, and just laying this out here. So the master plan process is going to do an evaluation of the entire rail line. So I'm going to start from the south and work our way north. So SMART, the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit Authority, will build the Great Redwood Trail between Sonoma and Marin counties. And in fact, it's in the charter that was approved by voters that they have to build a trail with the train. So for the vast majority of that trail, it will run alongside the rail as it is an active commuter transportation corridor. Once you get into Mendocino County, the GRTA, the Great Redwood Trail Authority, would oversee the construction, the contracting of the trail. There are going to be some low-hanging fruit segments, for example, between Hopland and Ukiah. There's going to be some low-hanging fruit segments once you get out of the Eel River Canyon and head into central Humboldt County. So we know that it will be built in segments. It will be, we'll have to go out to bid. It will be technically a state contracting process. We're going to have to follow all state contracting rules, and it will be overseen by the Great Redwood Trail Authority. That said, if it's built in a city, inside of a city, the city would oversee that process because it's within their jurisdiction. Hank, please push back on me if you think I was incorrect on any of it.
That's absolutely right. And then just to supplement that, that does provide another element of economic drivers to have these construction contracts. And what we've seen in Humboldt County is that our local construction contractors have done very well to bid for these contracts and deliver and develop, the skills and abilities to do more.
Great. Thank you both. And we've been having so much fun and such great information that it is just past 11. So I want to respect everyone's time and also allow time for us all to get outside on the trails. So really want to thank all of our participants this morning on Zoom, Facebook Live, Access Humboldt, Channel 8, and especially really want to thank all of our video presenters and then our live panelists, Hank Seemann with County Public Works and Senator Mike McGuire. A big thank you to you both and everyone for participating and sending in questions. So as we wrap up, a key thing about what you can do if your questions were not addressed, especially around the Great Redwood Trail, Jason Lyles with Senator McGuire's office has put his email in the chat, so that's a great contact. And also getting out and enjoying our trails and also engaging with our ways to volunteer. And so again, some of those have been talked about today with the volunteer trail stewards of the Humboldt Trails Council, the Backcountry Horsemen of California, Wilderness Riders, Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association. All of these organizations offer ways to volunteer and be involved with trails, Friends of the Annie and Mary Trail, and ways to support the railbanking efforts, and again, contacting Jason Lyles for that. And at the end of this webinar, there'll be a splash page with contact information, but especially go to humtrails.org for more contacts, and I'll pass it to Una for some final wrap-up.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Senator McGuire. Thank you, Mr. Seemann. That was really wonderful. And we want to thank all the audience members of those of you who are on Zoom. When you log out of this, there'll be a evaluation survey to come up, and please take the time if you have anything to share with us, what you liked and what we could do better. Hopefully next year we're live and in person, and happy to bring it to you. Thank you, Emily. Pleasure co-hosting with you.
Yes, you as well, Una. Thanks all.